So in the past few years I read more than 55 books on the topic of social skills. But even though most of those books were pretty interesting and had some great insights, there were a couple of them that especially stood out. So in this video we'll go over the 5 main books that most transformed my social skills, which can help you to become more likable, deepen your friendships, and generally become more effective and skilled at dealing with people. So the first book I would recommend is a foundational one that covers all the essential social skills that are crucial. And given that I made my certification to become a Dale Carnegie trainer around 2 years ago, you'd probably expect that I would recommend the famous book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But actually I don't, because A, I think there's a book that I like even a little bit better, and B, it's also a book that most of you have probably never read. How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People by Les Giblin. And what's probably gonna happen if you open the book is that you say, yeah, oh yeah, of course. Which might seem trivial, but is amazing, because on the one hand, it helps you to strengthen the social skills, the foundations you already have, and on the other hand, it also shows you things where you should maybe put a little bit more attention on. But the most crucial thing that I've learned from this book are the 3 A's: acceptance, attention, and appreciation. Because if you are a person that accepts people, that accepts differences, that is less judgmental, if you are a person that gives other people your undivided attention, that listens deeply, that checks in with them often, that invites them to other events, and if you're also a person that gives the other person appreciation and compliments and nice words, you are already more socially skilled than 80% of people. Which doesn't mean you always have to give undivided attention, that you have to accept everything and should never say what bothers you. All it means that probably it would be valuable to give a little bit more of those 3 A's that you currently do. But what most people get wrong is that they give their appreciation mainly through their words and compliments. But as seen in the second book recommendation, there are many more ways that we can show our care and appreciation, and kind words and compliments also don't really work for everybody. Alright, so I already mentioned this book in my very first ever video, and I also made a dedicated video only for that one book, but I mention it again because it's really that crucial. The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. But to spice things up a little, I'm going to attempt to summarize this book in only 60 seconds. And action. Alright, so just like there are different languages, we also send and receive love in 5 different ways. There's words of appreciation, such as nice words and compliments. There's acts of service, such as helping around the household. There's gifts, like buying something cute that you see. There's touch, such as cuddling and holding hands. And then there's also quality time, such as going on an adventure or just enjoying the time you have together. And typically, even though we care about receiving all of those 5 different languages, there's only 1 or 2 of them that we really feel loved and cared by. So what I typically do is to my friends or people I care about, that I send each of the 5 love languages ever so often. So for instance, I bought 2 great friends of mine matching sweaters to go on a road trip. I try to organize events like dinner parties to have some quality time with friends. I help my mom around the household whenever I visit home. I make sure to regularly cuddle my girlfriend, and then I also make sure that I always mention the positive things I notice about others, which really enrich my relationships and is something I can recommend to anybody. However, once you implemented the lessons from this book and from the foundational first book, even though your relationships are probably going to get a lot better, you're also more likely to encounter conflicts in those relationships. Let me explain. Okay, so naturally the deeper you'll go into the relationships, the more the different values, the different opinions, the different beliefs will bring conflict into the open. Just think how it emotionally affects you when a person you don't know at all is wasting their time, when now it's a person that you really care about is wasting his life. And unless you've mastered the skill to deal with these conflicts effectively, you will lose a lot of friendships in your life that you currently have, and you also miss out on building some of the friendships that could have been friends for life. And that's why the third book recommendation on this list is one of the best conflict resolution books I've ever read, Crucial Conversations. And even though there's many little tips in this book that are great, one of my favorite ones is called Start with Heart. So let's say a good friend of yours didn't invite you to anything in the last few years and you start to become really upset about it. So you decided to address it, but the conversation doesn't really go as you liked. And from conversation we go to accusations, and we get closer and closer to the zone of anger, where we throw everything we learned out of the window. Right before that moment, or hopefully even earlier, one of the best things that we can ask is, what do I really want? So what do I really want for myself? In this case, I want to be invited to more places, but I want to have a relationship where the other person cares for me. So going overkill and accusing more doesn't really help me. And it might seem, wow, that's your best tip. But think about, there are probably times when you went to a restaurant and you were there with your friends, the food was bad, but you thought to yourself, it doesn't really matter because what I really want is just to have a nice evening with my friends, and you didn't complain. But then there are also probably times when you went to a restaurant with friends, same scenario, but you didn't ask yourself, what do I really want? And you start complaining, and you're in a bad mood for the bad food, until you realize again, what do I really want? Nice time with friends, and you stop. And it's that simple and that effective to pause and think. And just this pausing and thinking also already helps us to think more clearly and get us away from the zone of anger where, yeah, we have all those scenes from the movie of drama and unnecessary conflict. Yet the fourth book on this list can even help you to avoid these moments when you're disappointed and want to bring conflict into the open. It's called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And here I really struggled to find one insight, because it's more a lot of few insights that taken together make a big difference. But the main thing I changed after reading the book is that I, on the one hand, accepted and understood people a lot better, which helped with all of the 3 A's mentioned earlier. But because I also spent a lot more time observing the body language and the underlying motives that we might be going through with the person in front of me, it also led to a lot less misunderstandings, which also reduced the conflicts I had in my life a lot. Which brings us to the 5th book, which is the best book on convincing people in persuasion I've ever read. Influence by Robert Cialdini. And this book is truly filled with a lot of fascinating studies and persuasion tactics. For instance, the door in the face technique. So imagine I would come to you and would ask you if you'd be willing to donate blood every single Thursday for the rest of the year. Probably you would say no. But what if, after you told me no, I would now ask you if you'd be willing to donate blood at least once next Thursday, no other commitments? You probably now would say yes, unless you have something very important the upcoming Thursday. But what's very interesting, by framing it like this, so first getting a no and a door slammed into the face of the salesman in this case, people are way more likely to say yes, and are also way more likely to show up than if they were asked directly to donate blood only once next Thursday. But my favorite insight from the book that's also a bit more applicable and less manipulative is something I experienced firsthand 2 years ago when I was traveling through Costa Rica. So Costa Rica truly is a beautiful country, but as it's filled with national parks and dirt roads, it can be very complex to get around. So either you take multiple buses where you never really know the time schedule, or you pay for a pretty expensive shuttle. So in a little town called La Fortuna, we went to a lady that sold tours and shuttles and asked her for the best way to get a waterfall nearby. But instead of selling us the tour for $35 that was displayed on the table, she told us it would be way smarter to take an Uber, way cheaper for us, wouldn't have to pay the transportation. And we were really positively shocked because this clearly went against her own self-interest. She earned no money this way. But very fascinating, the book Influence also mentioned that giving advice against our own self-interest is one of the best and fastest ways that we can build trust. And guess where we went when we wanted to book another tour, and also when we wanted to book a shuttle to the next town? To the exact same lady. But what I love most about this insight, which also is one of the best tips to become more socially skilled, is that you can become a lot more effective with people simply by staying very genuine, very good-hearted, and very authentic. Now, this video is actually part of a free series here on YouTube that I've built to attempt to help you to build more social skills and become more effective with people. So if you want to build your people skills, strengthen your friendships, and generally become more effective with people, then you can watch this video next, which is the introductory video to the course, which explains the structure, how it all works, and I really hope that this is valuable for you. Thank you for watching.